from that moment when I touched the Champions League, I thought, if I don't get to touch anything else until the end of my career, I'm okay with that because I already did this, you know.
Bernardo Silva rampaging forward, scoops it in, and City lead by 5-1. Threaded through behind the foot with the defence. Paul Lake with just the keeper to beat, goes round the keeper, and Paul Lake slots in the 4th goal against Portsmouth.
So, Bernardo, plaisir em conhecer.
Pleasure to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. That's
nice
perfect.
to meet you. We've got some questions, okay? So I am going to start off and put the pressure on you. So, can you describe yourself as a player?
As a player, I would say that I'm a very hard-working player that can play in different positions and can help the team in different ways. I wouldn't say that stat-wise I will give the team a lot of goals and assists, but I will give a bit of everything, a bit of high pressing, defending, a bit of build-up, some assists. So yeah, I try to do a bit of all to help the team and have the stability and the consistency to then win games.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
And now I would like to ask you the same question. Can you describe yourself as a player?
Well, yeah, Bernardo. So when I played for Manchester City, I actually wore every shirt, no number shirt, apart from the goalkeepers. So I played in every position.
You played in every
so
position?
I was the player that if a player was injured, they'd ask me to step into that space. But predominantly I played midfield and centre half, but as a playing centre half. But I would certainly be very mobile, getting around the pitch, winning the ball back, creating things, 1v1 situations. I'd like to think I was a threat in the goal area, you know, because of pace and height, but
you said you played also centre back, as well as almost striker.
Yeah.
And winger sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's impressive. I like it. Can I go for the next one?
You certainly can.
When did you think you had made it as a footballer? Was there a defining moment?
Well, when we came through Manchester City, there were lots of players from what is now the academy.
You were in the Man City academy as well?
Yeah, so right the way through. And our coaches would say to us, until you play 10 games consistently for the first team, you can't call yourself a player.
Okay.
So that was our mantra.
So when you did the 10th game,
you thought, right, okay, I'm
established.
I'm established. I think it was a bit more than that, but we used that because it made you recognise the importance of taking each day as it comes and each game as it comes. So it was a really, really interesting experience in that way.
When I finished my first season in Monaco, because when you're a kid, you always have your doubts. You know your potential, you believe in yourself, but are you going to make it? Are you not? You never know. And I played 12 years in the Benfica academy.
Wow.
And then they didn't want me there at Benfica, so I had to go to Monaco. And when I go on loan to Monaco, and in January when they buy me, that's when, like after I would say like 15, 20 games, a bit more than what you said, but similar, in the first team, in a team that played Champions League and everything, that's when I thought, yeah, I made it. I don't know if I'm going to reach the level that I want, but as a player I made it, yeah.
I'll go next.
You go next.
Okay. What is the biggest change in football since you started playing or watching?
The biggest change in football? I think it's clearly VAR that changed a lot, especially the way that now defenders can hold the line even more because they know that there's no mistake, you know.
Yeah.
They don't count on the referee, they count on their line. But in terms of the tactical side of the game, even like 20 years ago when I was a kid, teams that played with 2-3 players that didn't defend, that just attacked, that doesn't work anymore. A team that has two players, 3 players that don't defend, it doesn't work. You're not going to win.
Interesting.
What would you say?
So for me, probably more watching the game would be the back pass rule and the goalkeepers playing out from the back, because when we played, Bernardo,
the keeper could grab the ball. No,
the keeper would hold the ball, but he would you would start the play where he'd kick it out of his hands. Then you would fight for that second ball and then play from there.
Yeah,
we would try and sort of, because we play with a 4-4-2, it would more of an opportunity to try and win the ball higher up the pitch, and then to play from there.
Before it was more defenders defend, midfielders and attacker, and now it's like you need to build up properly. You're a defender, but you need to be good on the ball. You're an attacker and you need to defend well.
Exactly.
I agree,
Exactly.
definitely. So, What's the best match you've played in?
Well, the best game that I played, because back in our time, the rivalry between Manchester United and Manchester City was everything. And so when we played them in 1989, we beat them 5-1. And in that team, there were 5 players from our academy team, if you will. So all my friends played in that game.
It felt even more personal.
Even more personal, yeah. And we beat them 5-1. And you know, just an amazing experience. At Main Road at that time, which was the old stadium, the atmosphere was absolutely electric. And the fact that, you know, it was our arch rivals and there were so many of my friends in the team, it just meant so much.
Yeah.
Same question to you.
I can understand. I'm gonna have to choose between 2 games. So the first one, if I had to choose one, I would go for the Madrid semi-final, Real Madrid semi-final at the Etihad. Because the atmosphere and the way we played, it was just too good. I will always remember that game. I don't know if you remember a 2-1 against Liverpool at home. So intense.
Yeah.
For me, that Liverpool team was the best Liverpool team. It was the moment when they were at their best.
Yeah.
So it was the hardest to play against them in that moment.
Yeah.
And we were still like 7 points behind them in the league, and we managed to win the league that year. They won the Champions League, but we won the league by 1 point. And that game at home, when Kun Agüero scored the goal with the left foot, they equalized, but then Leroy as well in transition scored the 2-1. That game in terms of intensity was very high, so I remember that one as well.
Okay, so what's the most memorable goal you've scored?
Well, I have to go to that game again. We were going after that Champions League trophy for a long time, and that was the semi-final. That game would secure us another chance to play for that title. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to choose the first or the second. Probably the first, because the first goal is always more important. But it's not about the goal, it's about the importance that game had for us. So definitely, yeah, the first goal against Madrid.
Yeah. I might just add that I thought, in terms of one of the most beautiful goals I've ever seen was your goal against Newcastle, the back flick.
The back flick, I remember that goal. Yeah.
I mean, it was a great cross from
We
Kyle.
won. It was last season. We won the game with Kevin and Oscar Bob in the last minute. I remember. Yeah, it was a good game.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want to know, what's the most memorable goal you've scored?
So we played in a cup competition, FA Cup, away at Millwall.
Millwall was tough, no?
Yeah, it was intimidating. You know, they were very aggressive. It was a tight ground. It was quite unpleasant. And to get us back into the game, I think I made it 1-1 when I scored. I controlled the ball on the volley, and I hit it. So I controlled it in the air and volleyed it into the far top corner. So it was quite a nice finish. But
good feeling.
Yeah, good feeling. But it was also the memory of the importance of the goal at that particular time. So again, for different reasons, it stayed with me. I didn't score that many goals as well, so that kind of goal stays with you.
It's my turn, of course.
Think so?
What was the lowest point in your career?
So I played 3 seasons in the first team, played consistently. I'd just been tipped by the then England manager, Sir Bobby Robson, to be the next England captain. And then I ruptured my anterior cruciate ligament, not too dissimilar to what Rodri has done, and did it 3 times. So ruptured,
3 times?
Ruptured, came back, ruptured, ruptured,
wow.
And then I had to retire. So retiring from football after, only playing, I played 135 times for the first team, and then due to nothing that I could control, I had to retire. So, of all the highs of being a fan and being a player, to then have to retire like that after spending years trying to get back was demoralising.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's tough. Wow, 3.
Yeah.
It's difficult. I would say, even if it was the beginning, like having to leave Benfica, as I said, was probably the toughest and the lowest, because working 12 years to be able to play for your dreamhood club, and then them not wanting you and you having to leave, I think that was probably the lowest, because from there everything at Monaco was really good. Man City has been more than I could have imagined, so I would have to say that.
Yeah. What was the highest point in your career?
Champions League final, winning the Champions League. I was actually talking to Mateus Nunes, because he arrived later, so he never won the Champions League. And I was saying, when we won the Champions League, we had won as well my 5th Premier League, so I had already touched 5 Premier Leagues. But I said from that moment when I touched the Champions League, I thought, if I don't get to touch anything else until the end of my career, I'm okay with that because I already did this, you know?
Yeah.
And they put the game at 9 p.m. No, 10 p.m. Imagine your whole day waiting for the most important game of your career at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
It's the worst day in my career. The best and the worst day in my career in terms of stress.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah, brilliant.
And now I want to know, what was the highest point in your career?
So I mean, it was a couple really. One insofar as I was made captain, and I was probably one of the youngest captains. But I suppose
playing for your club.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nice.
And Manchester City is to me what Benfica would have been to you. You know, and obviously you'll love the clubs that you're at, but there's a special place in your heart for your club because that's where you get established, and all those memories and that legacy is with you. To be voted in the Hall of Fame, so my name's around the stadium, and for my family as well to experience
nice,
that. It was lovely.
Every time you go to a game, you see
there's
that.
memories there, yeah.
It's a good memory.
It is, thank you, yeah.
It's me, no?
Yeah.
It's me. Where does Manchester City rank in the clubs you've played for?
Oh, that's quite easy for me then, isn't it?
It's easy for me as well.
Yeah.
I think it's the same answer for both of us.
Manchester City has always been a part of my life, you know, so from being under 10 to now, so being a fan, a player, a fan, you know, it's always stayed with me. I've seen some of the mediocre times, I've seen some of the lows, and I've experienced, thanks to the team now and your good self, is some amazing highs as a fan. It's been so wonderful to be a part of it, to be associated with it, and so proud to be able to pass the shirt on to you guys. Okay, you've taken it to a stratospheric level, but still played a part in that.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been possible if you guys. Definitely. It's a pleasure. My answer is the same. It's Manchester City, even though I had a great time in Monaco and my club is Benfica. Man City gave me everything and much more in terms of what I hoped and dreamt of achieving. Like I never thought I would win, that I would stay as long as I did.
Yeah.
So for sure, Manchester City #1. Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Do you think, this is quite an interesting question, but do you think you could play in my team?
In your team?
Football
was different, as you said.
Yeah.
More aggressive. The pitches were not as good.
Nowhere near.
So when people say, they're much better players now than they were before, or when people say, they were much tougher before than they are now. Yes, you guys for sure you were tougher than us, and maybe we are better players or more developed players than you were back then, but because of the conditions as well. We have better conditions in the academy, the way we grow up. We don't need to be as tough as you because the pitch is clean, and the ball was always bouncing for you guys. But it's a different game. It's like a different sport, as we said. So I hope so. I wish that I could adapt, because I think that I would try to adapt and fight hard to be as tough as you guys were. But it wouldn't be easy.
I think you'd have been okay.
Would you have liked to play in our era as well? Or?
Yeah, I think under the stewardship of someone like Pep Guardiola as well, to be able to develop, and the fact that I'd experienced so many different positions, I could handle different positions and be comfortable. And plus, when you're playing with better players, you raise your standards.
Definitely.
And because I felt that I would have given something different and maybe slotted in somewhere if Pep would have given me the opportunity, but I would certainly have relished the opportunity for sure.
Very nice. Well, Paul, it was a pleasure. Seriously.
Absolute pleasure to meet you, Bernardo. Keep up the great work, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Bernardo Silva rampaging forward, scoops it in, and City lead by 5 goals to 1. Fed it through behind the foot with the defence. Paul Lake with just the keeper to beat, goes round the keeper, and Paul Lake slots in